so great to have you here, Anita.
Well, thank you, Schamet. I was thinking the person who is watching this little video must be interested in oracle cards, otherwise you wouldn't watch, right?
Yes.
So I assume that you have cards back home and in your home, and maybe you draw a card every morning or every afternoon or in the evening, or maybe even more times a day, maybe once a week or once a month. I mean, it doesn't matter. Cards are a key to our intuition. They help us to find answers to questions we have, or even point out problems we weren't even think of, or they give just an adjustment to our life. And it's very, I think it helps me to get in contact with the source, or with, my inner voice, to use oracle cards. Actually, it's not only the cards. I don't know if you have the experience of going into the forest and seeing a blackbird all the time, or a robin, or other animals. I mean, the source is trying to communicate with us, and the only thing we have to do is learn the language. So cards can help us with that. The learning symbols is also, or learning about a special topic, for instance, is also a good way to use oracle cards. You have the oracle cards and the tarot cards. Are you familiar with the cards, Schamet?
Yes, I am. I often wondered, what is the main difference between an oracle card and a tarot card?
Yeah, well, the oracle cards, they are newer. They've been created, I think, mainly because the tarot cards are not so accessible as the oracle cards are. I mean, if you do a card reading for a querent, and the death card comes up and the devil card comes up, it takes you a while to explain that the death card is all about transformation and letting go of the old so that the new can come in. And, the devil card is not about you being possessed by the devil or something, but more like see how you got caught in material things in your daily life, or, so it is more for the tarot reader, needs more explanation to the person who is asking. Tarot is way older. I mean, it's based on the card deck that we know, the playing cards, and it's from Italy, and it's quite. I think it's about 1400s. In the 1400s, the first tarot cards appeared. So, and there's a whole lot of mystic and legend around the tarot cards. Like some people say they carry information from Atlantis or Egypt, or, there are a whole lot of stories around that. But I mean, I think that's interesting, but it doesn't add to what we can do to it today.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
So, what a lot of people think is that you need to know the exact explanation of a card before you can do or give a reading. And I say I don't agree with that. Sure, it helps, but if you look at a card, most of the time there is something on that card that draws your attention, like a big light, or a big cat, or a small little tiny beetle, but there is something that that pulls your, that draws you into the card and gets your attention. And that tells you something about, hey, why is that? What does that reflect on the outside that says something, that tells something about me on the inside?
Yeah.
So then you have a whole other access to a deck of cards.
Mm-hmm.
And I also take notice if I do a reading for other people or for myself, I also take notice on what is happening at that moment. Yeah. It's not only the cards, it's what I feel. I mean, let's say if I would do a reading with you at this moment online, I would look at you, I would look at your body language, I would look at your response to what I say. But I also tune in on you, like try to contact you on a higher level. And I would also be aware of what was going on in my surroundings. Let's say if you have a question of should I take this and this job? And at the same moment in my chicken coop, all hell breaks loose. Like all the chickens go mad. It depends on what is the topic about. That it could be very positive, or I would say, ooh, all hell breaks loose. Would that be a good advice then to go? I mean, because if I tell it, you know what it means. Do you know how that works?
Yeah.
And I really think that is something that a lot of people forget. If they are doing a reading, the universe is communicating as well.
Yeah.
And or geese are flying, just whilst doing the reading, the geese flying across, or so that is also something to be aware of. What is happening? A book falls from the shell, or that magical things happen if you work with cards.
So really what you're saying, Anita, is that you are the oracle and the cards are an extension and a tool of what you're reading, but to remember that you are the oracle.
I love that. Yes, it's a bit like that. It is like the cards are the key or a tool. And the thing is, we all have that inside us. I'm an energetic therapist and a coach. So I'm always using the cards. Sometimes at the beginning of the conversation, we pull a card and draw a card and see what's coming up. And sometimes also at the end of a conversation, because 99 times out of 100, the card is a kind of a resume, like, yeah, that's what we were talking about.
Yeah.
But also it can also be like, oh, and next time we have to talk about this. It's also sometimes like, oh yeah, that's also happening in my life, or oh yeah, I forgot to tell you about this. Yeah. So I think it's a great way of communicating with your own intuition.
Yeah. I do the same thing. I pull a card usually at the end, and it's just uncanny how every single time it's spot on, and I have I'm a bit addicted to oracle cards. I have about 20 decks. And so I, intuitively read into and feel into which one. And it's always the exact deck that we're supposed to read from, and the exact card. And it's just like, wow, it's magical. Yeah. So I know what you mean.
It is. You can't have enough oracle cards, I say. I mean, because you change in the stages of your life, and then new, more defined cards, or it's you can't have enough. but I'm addicted to cards as well. So it's easy to say that.
Yeah.
But it's true. Normally I let the clients choose what kind of cards are appealing to you, and they're always, if a client chooses intuitively, it's always right. It's always right. They get the card deck that they have an easy access to.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is. But on the other hand, I mean, I have clients who really love to work with the classical Rider-Waite tarot. I mean, and I like to work with that too, because the tarot cards, they are more general cards. You can ask any question at the tarot deck, but you need that is a deck you need to study. You need to know the meaning of the the real meaning of the cards. That really helps. Otherwise you're lost. I mean, but the oracle cards are really easy to access, especially if you choose that one that you really like. Yeah. And I think I also use them different. I mean, you have beautiful cards at the moment. And what I also do, I have an altar. I think everybody who is in a spiritual way involved has an altar, because it symbolizes the sacred outside of you. Yeah. But what I also do, sometimes I'm really focused on I don't know, something that I really think I need to focus on. And then I pick a card like Open, who really images my focus. And then I put that card on the altar. And what I also can do is use crystals with the cards, like putting a card on the table, put a crystal on it, like making a card and crystal grid. So let's say if you are open for a new relation, you could take the Lover's card and put a heart on it, crystal heart on it. Or if you want to have looking for a new job, you can put a, I don't know, a job card or a career switch card and put a crystal on it that helps with that one, like fluoride or citrine. So it's all about intention, and it helps to get your intuition in line with your intention, to get, on your mission in life. So yeah, they really help.
Yeah. And I have found, and I would love to know your opinion on this, Anita, but I have found that like a lot of the oracle cards, sometimes I won't use, oftentimes I won't use the booklet at all. But then sometimes I will read what the booklet has to say. And what I feel about it is that whoever created, say the Goddess deck, which is one of the decks I love, it was created by, Doreen Virtue, or, one of the other decks that were created by a particular person, that it was their energy and their wisdom channeling through the creation of the oracle card. And so it's honoring the energy, the energetics of that creation and that body of work and the wisdom that was coming through, but at the same time, like honoring the oracle and the wisdom that's coming through us. And like you said, checking into the energy of the other person, but it's very multidimensional in that aspect. And that's why I have so many decks, is because the Goddess deck isn't going to be good for certain people. It's not going to be aligned. But the fairy deck may be the perfect deck that's aligned for the client that I'm working with. And so they all have a different energetic and a different, Yeah.
Well, it is also depending on your question. I mean, if you are asking about your qualities, your feminine qualities, what you would love to develop or what is strong at this moment, yes, then the Goddess deck is wonderful. But if you are looking for what is my medicine animal? I mean, you wouldn't use the goddess deck, or there are romance angel cards, or there are life purpose cards, or if you want to learn more about the crystals, there are beautiful crystal cards. And the nice thing is that they, as you say, they have the energy of the author, but they have also the energy of the crystal or the animal or the goddess or the angels, or so. And I think you're right. I mean, I always say to people, don't read the booklet. Don't read the booklet. Afterward, you can read the booklet, but first feel for yourself what that card is saying. I mean, every card is talking to us, but you have to take time to look at the image, to feel what the image does. I mean, sometimes you feel really happy when you see an image, and sometimes you feel like resistance. Oh my God, not again, that card. Oh gosh. And sometimes it's also really funny, like our appointment the other day when I pulled a card and there was unlikely, and then I asked another question and there came unlikely, and it keeps on going unlikely. So I was like, okay, what is unlikely? And then our conversation was unlikely because, we had misscheduled. So, yeah. And I really have to laugh then. I mean, it's funny. I firmly believe in synchronicity, and as above, so below, and as within, so outside. So it's so funny to see that back in the cards, because it really helps to I don't know. I mean, it really helps, that it gives me a feeling that yes, there is a bigger force and we're not alone here. And
Yeah, I love that, Anita. I love that so much. It's so true, isn't it? I remember playing around with that magical 8-ball when I was little, and I don't know if you had those in the Netherlands, but in America, you can shake it and it's got a little pyramid inside, and it would say yes or no or maybe, and it was always like completely accurate. It was like, whoa, how can that be? And I was mystified by it.
Yeah, it's also an oracle.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's good to say that an oracle is also from all ages, and it is both. It's the person who gets into contact with with the great divine or source energy.
Yeah.
But the deck of cards made by a person who is able to do that is also called an oracle. And you have oracles in all cultures, like the rune stones. Do you know the rune stones? You're in Sweden now.
Yeah. I know the runes. Yeah.
And there are a lot of other.
Do you do rune readings as well?
Yeah, well, I'm not. I need to practice more. I mean, I know them and I know a little bit of them, but I specialized more in the cards than I did in the runes. Although I really think it's really powerful. It's really strong. But
I was told in a reading that I had a few months ago that I was to get in touch and get a runes. In the little velvet bag, and you've got all the little runes that I'm. That's gonna happen. Hey, I have a question about the tarot. So, is that your expertise? Is the tarot, and do you teach classes about that?
Yes. Well, I at this very moment, if it is all allowed, of course, because at this moment the Netherlands, as we speak, is in a lockdown again. But I've planned, and I have to get the dates, I have planned in the Netherlands 5 days with tarot and oracle card reading. You become a professional oracle card and tarot reader, and I teach that in 5 days, and it's from the 22nd until the 26th of February. But yeah, it is. I teach through the year. I do all kinds of classes. I'm teaching in Dutch, but I mean, if there are people abroad who are interested in
can you? Is this something you can bring online?
Yeah, well, I'm thinking about that because it's a lot of work, Schamet.
I know. Oh, I know. But it would be a great thing to bring online. Yeah, I'd be interested. I would love to deepen my understanding of the tarot. I mainly work with the oracle cards, but I love the tarot. There's something about the magic and the mystery and the depth of the history.
That's right.
With the tarot of and the symbolism. It feels to me so rich and so it's hard to put words on energy, isn't it?
Well, there's multi-layers.
Yeah, multifaceted. Yeah. It's so like a really deep well, isn't it?
It is actually, and because of the colors of the decks, you have a lot of ways to approach with the tarot, and it's ancient. I mean, it's old, and it connects us to that consciousness as well. Like the mostly women who were reading the cards, the tarot cards. It's a mostly a feminine tradition. So it's also that connection. I felt very familiar the first time I saw a tarot and oracle cards. It's like something touched me in my heart. I was like, ooh, what's that? A bit like that. So I think a lot of people who are working with tarot and oracle cards, they have done that in former lives. Must be. I mean, it's like a of remembrance, recognition and remembrance. Yeah. So if you are interested.
Oh, sign me up. I'm first on your list. Put me in the, yeah, definitely. Once you go online, you let me know. I'm keen. For me, being Christian, I was a devout Christian all throughout my teenage years. And, I was told that the tarot is evil and demonic and bad. And so there's always been this innate fear in me around the tarot deck, as much as I'm drawn and attracted and intrigued by it. So I've always just worked with the oracle cards for somehow, they're more accessible. They're like light, I'm not going to all of a sudden get the devil card, like you said, and not know what to, do when I'm sitting there with a client and I've got the devil card or the death card. And, so I've always been a little bit, not scared, but a little bit like in reverence and respect of the power of the tarot. And so, I would love to learn more about that, because I'm not afraid of them anymore. I've let go of all that Christian dogma.
I think it's all about fear and all about something that like the synchronicity in daily life. I mean, I think most people see that, most people feel that, but they're also a bit afraid of it because it can't be explained. So and working with cards is the same. I mean, if you are a sincere and person who loves their own integrity, you would never say things to people that would frighten them or gets them down, or you would never use your power as a card reader to influence people in a negative way. I mean, if you, like me, believe in karma is a bitch. What goes around comes around. I mean, you just don't do that. So I'm always using the cards to look at the highest potential of a person sitting opposite me, and see how we can get the best and the most of it. Even problems. I mean, problems always have hidden blessings in them. Yes. So, I think a lot of, and also it is written in the Bible that cards are from the devil. So that's why. Yeah. So, but that's also said about witches, and that's also said about sorcerers, but I think it's got something to do with power. Like if you are in your own contact with source, you don't need a priest. You don't need a clergy person tell you what to do. And that I respect Christianity. I respect everything good that they do. I respect every other religion or belief, but I also respect freedom. So I think people at this moment and day and age, they are feeling their own truth. Yeah. And if that is the same truth that your priest is preaching, then you're fine. I mean, then that's your way. I mean, everybody has their own path.
It's all about alignment, isn't it? And what we got to also remember is, church and state during the time that the Bible was composed and put together was one. So, if you weren't with the church and you were doing your own thing, it wasn't so good for politics or for like the mainstream. But that's a whole other big topic. But we just, Anita, we just watched the Da Vinci Code movie on Christmas with the kids. Yeah. And I read the book, and it's so good. The movie's really good too. The books are always better, but there's a lot in that, and that's a really, really deep well, but I also know that in the Bible, it talks about the oracles, and it talks about the oracles being, messengers, and that they were divine, and that they were held in high esteem and high regard. So isn't that interesting that that's in the Bible about, and this was my priest at the church, his wife read that straight from the Bible, because we were doing some Bible study, and they came to my house, and my oracle cards were sitting on the table, and they were like, oh my God, why do you have those? And that kind of stirred up the whole conversation. And they were angel cards too. I was like, they're angel cards. Like, they weren't even tarot cards. But it stirred up the conversation, and then she read from the Bible, and she says, oh, well, oracles were, highly regarded. And so that is interesting, isn't it?
I mean, you can read a lot pros and cons in one Bible. I mean, it's just where you put your focus and see what's in it. I mean, if you not being disrespectful, but if you look at all the messages from angels coming to people in the Bible, I mean, what is that then? I mean, you could say, well, you just all made that up. I mean, it is as old as the Bible. I mean, the stories of angels and inner voices, hearing the voice of God. I mean, what makes one person that hears the voice of God valid, and the other person who hears the voice of angels or God less valid. I mean, there you go. It's a human discussion, and everybody has their own truth, and it's not up to us to say this is the truth. I think just feel, and if it resonates with your truth, well, then you're in connection.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's how I see it.
That's beautiful. It's all about connection. It's all about alignment. And you're quite right. You know, even like when I was studying for my master's degree, the psychology class I was taking, it was, you know, so many people got labeled as being crazy and hearing voices and put in these asylums and everything. And, you know, it's like one person that's hearing God is crazy and is put away in an asylum. Another person's burned at the stake for it. And another person's written up in the Bible as being the voice of God. It's like, what's going on in this world? It's all remembering where our alignment is, where our truth is, and trusting in that divine wisdom.
Yeah, I think it's we live in a time where it is very important that we find our own truth. And I'm not talking about sharing everything you think on internet or in social media. I'm just talking about just feel what is right and what is true for you, and live by that. Yeah. And then you become an example for the people around you, and they learn more from who you really are and what you're really doing than what you're saying or thinking that you are believing in. Yeah. Is this
This is what being a living, breathing, living oracle is. Yeah.
It's not like trying to convince other people from this is the truth, but more like this is my truth, and this is how I would love to live. And I think we have that freedom. I think we have. I strongly feel we have that freedom as soon as we start to do it in respect of other people, of course. I mean, I'm not saying like do whatever you want and no matter what. No, that's not what I mean.
Yeah. So, Anita, if you could give everyone that's listening a few tips on awakening their own inner oracle, what would they be?
Well, I would say take time alone. Take time alone in nature and open yourself up. I mean, be really aware of what is going on outside you and inside you. I mean, you can do that while you're meditating, but you can also do it while you're walking. You don't need to sit and wait for God. I mean, as soon as you walk, the goddess is all around you. But you can also start your day with a card or your week with a card and see what is to be expected for the coming week. And whatever topic is at that moment in your life, you can pull cards on that and see how they resonate with you. And sometimes you can draw a card and you think, well, what is this? I can't rely to that card. But at the end of the day, maybe you go like, oh, wait a second, that's what the meaning of the card was for me on this moment. So stay in contact with the image and but on the other hand, I would say don't let a deck of cards rule your whole life. I mean, that's the other side. Don't get carried away too much with it.
Yeah, not getting attached, isn't it? It's an attachment.
No, it's don't let it be an obsession. It's more like you know, sometimes when I'm not aligned and I pull cards, I draw cards, I go like, nah, not the right timing. So be aware of that as well. I mean, sometimes it's not the right time. Also, if you want to have answers, but you need to learn a lesson first, you don't get the right answers. Yeah. You can do readings, whatever you like, but if it is in your plan to have an experience first before you have the insight, cards will guide you to that experience, but not give you the answer yet. Because if they would, you wouldn't understand it. You wouldn't see it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. It's very multidimensional and multifaceted. And again, going back to that, you are the oracle, you know, not giving your power away to the cards, remembering your alignment, your power, that you're the oracle. And I agree with that, because there are times when I can feel the hookup. I can feel the energy moving through my body. I know I'm connected to spirit, and I know I'm channeling, and the cards are spot on. And those moments are so magic. But there's been other times where I'm not quite there. I'm a bit disconnected. I'm not in my alignment, and things are hazy. And that's when I have found at 46 years old now, I need to go and see someone. Like I would call you up, Anita, and say, hey, could you do a reading for me? Because I need some clarity here. And I think that's good, because it means that we do need each other, you know?
Of course.
Yeah.
And you know, if you are doing a reading for someone else, most of the time I learn a lot from your reaction, from your response. I learn a lot for myself or the cards as well. Like if we would look at one card, I would look at you and say, well, this and this and this is important. And what do you see in that card? And it's so amazing, because there's layers in cards, you know, there's levels in cards. So it's so interesting, because it's teaching us about the archetypes of life in ourselves, outside of ourselves, and the big life lessons. And yeah, it's very, very interesting. And also, if the feeling you describe, like you're really in line with source, that would be the moment to close your eyes and have a look inside and ask yourself, when was I an oracle? And where was I an oracle? Because then your answers will come. Yeah. And if you are the person at home is watching, maybe because of this, you get dreams or sudden memories coming up. Because I know how that works, that you get images from a culture not from this time, where you were involved in some kind of, you know, oracle ritual or well, that is, for me, that's always a sign that there is DNA in us that carries all the information that we are talking about right now. Actually, it's something I do in my classes, to take them to a former life and see if they were an oracle, and in what time, and in what, you know, what religion or what. But that takes too far to do that online.
Yeah, yeah. It's that remembrance, isn't it? So yeah, it is. I was hoping, Anita, that you would draw a card for all of us.
Shall I do that?
Yeah.
So this is the cards that are, they said we want to come. Are the cards from Denise Lind. She's one of my teachers. I love her very much. And this card is called the Sacred Traveler oracle cards because we all are sacred travelers. So let me see what is sacred traveling for us in the coming year. So I shake them and then I make, is it a fan? You call it a fan?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then I go with my middle finger till there's one card that says, yeah, me. So this one is that card. And look at this card. Can you read it?
Embracing enthusiasm, shout to the heavens with happiness. Oh, that's beautiful.
And look at the butterflies.
Yeah.
I look at the image and I see, well, this is something that you can, if you look at this card, is there something that draws your attention immediately?
For me?
Yeah.
For me, it is the butterflies, and that we've been talking a lot about freedom. And
right.
Yeah, freedom and transformation. And and she looks like the maiden as well. So it's got that young maiden energy of embracing the magic. Huh?
Do you see the flower crown she wears?
Oh, yeah.
The flowers.
Yeah, yeah. That's beautiful.
So yeah, but also she reminds me of a spring goddess. You see that with the, the really light colors and the flowers and the butterflies. So for me, this card also indicates that we're on the beginning of something new, like the transformation we are all into, and the rise of the rising of the goddess, the rising of the feminine power, more equality in life, more gender equality, sexual equality. I think the card reminds me of that as well. And enthusiasm is what we need.
Yeah, yeah.
Because that is a big impulse, that is, if nature wouldn't be enthusiastic in spring, nothing would happen, right?
It's so true. Yeah, yeah. And it also, that card feels to me like the, what I teach people in my intuition classes is really aligning with where that happiness is and where that lightness is. And that card's very light. It's very whimsical. It's very warm. It's really fun. Like, to me, that's a big guide. Like, when I feel warm, happy, good energy, that's where I want to align myself. If it feels cold and not so good, that's like a barometer of maybe that's not the right alignment for me. So yeah.
So true. It is, if you go where you like it, you get enthusiastic about it, and then your life will get in a flow. If you stuck to places where the energy is not feeding you, is not honoring you or carrying you, you get stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not even about right or wrong. It's all about alignment. Yeah.
It is.
Because, when we moved to Sweden, I could feel the enthusiasm. I could feel the warmth. And we moved to winter, and it was cold and it was dark, but I felt warm. And it was because it was an alignment of where we needed to be. And that's so It's not necessarily like cold or hot temperature. It's an inner warmth.
I can always, when I do a reading, be it cards of aura reading, or if I do a reading and the right information comes through, I can feel it in my legs. like a tingling in my legs. It's like, oh yes, this is coming really down, or like this is true for me.
Yeah.
And you can feel that if you are working with cards more often. You could feel that you are in alignment with the cards or not. And if you're not in alignment, it's not the moment to work with cards. Maybe you can go outside and open yourself up to nature and see what nature is telling you. Like there's a ray of sun coming right toward me at the moment, or I hear a lot of little birds outside, or what does that tell me? So if you open up, it will always resonate with going in or going deeper, and I think that is really important. That we there is a difference between going outside and open up for nature, or going outside in the world and open up for all the people around you, because you can do that when you're in alignment. Then you are a true source for people around you as well. But if you're not in alignment, you need the true source from nature to rejuvenate, and I think that's really important.
Yeah, I'd like to say to what you're saying, Anita. So Anita and I have both studied with Anodea Judith through the chakra system. And, I did go through a period where I had a betrayal and a heartbreak, and it knocked me off of my own alignment and my own connection to source. And then I read in Anodea's book, can't remember which one it was, I think it was Eastern Body, Western Mind, that when you have a trauma or you have something happen, grief or death or anything like that, it can actually knock you out of your alignment with source and cause a blockage in the crown chakra, and so, I just want to offer that up, because then when I realized what was going on, then I was able to work through the grief and work through the trauma that I had been through and the heartbreak, and really do some inner healing with my heart chakra and with my throat chakra. Then I was able to clear that and then reconnect to source. So I just wanted to offer that up, because sometimes when we do, get out of alignment, it's about doing that healing work around that. And, it doesn't mean you're not an oracle. It just means that you're human and you've got some stuff to work through, and that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Sure, but you know what? I mean, being in alignment, our emotions are getting in the way sometimes. And what are emotions? I mean, I sometimes think that emotions are just like the weather. One day you wake up and you feel perfectly fine and great, and the other morning you rise out of bed and you go like, oh, I can't go back in. So it's true. I mean, if you have a trauma, it always takes you time to get back into alignment, or you are in alignment, but not on all levels. You know what I mean? Like everything is flowing and everything is growing except for your love life, or except for your career, or except for your communication. Mm-hmm. And I think that's how we learn. That's part of our experience, part of our plan. But yeah, I mean, and then oracle cards can help you to get things clear.
Yeah, definitely.
To get answers and get things clear as well.
Guidance.
So,
yeah. Really beautiful guidance. Yeah. Thank you so much, Anita. I think you and I could talk for another hour about this, but
yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, it's easy talking to you.
Yeah, I love this conversation. So, I want to say one more thing about the oracle is, I remember when I really opened up and claimed, that I'm an oracle, which was a really big thing to do. Oh my goodness. But, it was owning who I am and coming to terms with that. And I started to see messages on t-shirts, on license plates, like everywhere. The universe was speaking to me. And I think the universe was always speaking to me. I just wasn't listening.
Oh, that's what I mean. I mean, it can be in radio songs, it can be in overheard conversations, it can be on billboards or whatever. I mean, if you are open for it, the universe, has a funny way of making things clear. It's really good fun. And if you understand the symbolism of animals, for instance, it's amazing how much more animals they will show themselves to you. It's amazing. But the only thing I wanted to say, you were asking about, do I teach classes? Yes, but I also do online readings. So if people would love to have an online reading, we can make an appointment. That's very easy done these days with Skype or Zoom or WhatsApp or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's also what I do.
And you had said that you were going to offer a couple readings to people that sign up for the All Access Pass. So during our week on the 5th of February to the 13th of February, when we go live, we're going to be coming into the Facebook group, and I'll raffle off some places for you to see or experience an oracle reading with Anita. And so that's a really kind and generous offering that you've offered. And I'm so excited about it. So definitely, if you're watching this, join us in the Facebook group. And have an opportunity to have a beautiful oracle reading with Anita. It's really, she's a powerful, powerful reader. So such a generous offering. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy to do so. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Anita. Any last and final words?
No, I think if people want to learn more about what you were talking about, they will find it on the website, I guess. And same goes for the information they need to get in contact with me, I assume. So no, it's fine. I hope you get inspired
yeah,
to work with cards, to use the cards more.
So Anita, underneath this video, there'll be links to your website and everything so people can find you and your work. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, I hope to talk to people. I love talking to people all over the world, as long as they speak English.
Sounds good. Oh, thank you so much. That was wonderful. I really, really enjoyed our conversation. Yeah.
Well, likewise. Thank you.
Thank you. A lot of good tips there on being an oracle and awakening the inner oracle. So thank you so much.
So welcome.